Hello, my name is Steffanie Ashley. I'm here today interviewing Miss Barbara J. Ellis, retired registered nurse. Miss Ellis is a founder of the Urban Renewal Health Facility, and you learn she's where she administers colonic irrigations, and you learn health. The business is operated at 5042 Briscoe Street, Southeast Houston, Texas, since 1979. Miss Ellis, are you from Texas?
No, I'm not. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1939.
Exactly where did you go to school?
I had my secondary education in Slidell, Louisiana, where I was reared up. This is about 30 miles from downtown New Orleans. I went to St. Tammany Parish High School. When I went, it was high school. I went at age 6 in the first grade, and I stayed straight to the 12th grade where I graduated. It's a small town, so it's one school.
Uh-huh.
I graduated from St. Tammany High in 1957.
Was there a secondary school?
That was secondary, but what I did, I was admitted into Dillard University for nursing in New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, with financial problems, I was not able to go to Dillard. So the very next morning, I moved from Slidell, Louisiana to Houston, Texas to further my education. Now, that's not what happened immediately. I still had the financial woes. I had to go here and go there. But I ended up, and of all places, Mortuary College, Commonwealth College of Sciences, where I did graduate and become a mortician. And I practiced as a funeral director in order to work my way through the University of Texas School of Nursing, which had already been my goal. Now, as a young kid, I told you I had a traumatic birth in New Orleans, and like a near-death experience, I made it. Therefore, I heard the elders say as I was growing up that I was born to heal because I'd had such a traumatic birth. And I kind of believed that. And I knew since I was 7 when I took care of a sick aunt that my quest here was to take care of ill people. That's why I was born. I figured that way back then. So right then I knew that I wanted to be a nurse, and I knew that I wanted to be a nurse with a degree. And back then I'm thinking a degree I could be off on the weekend. But at any rate, I continued to strive for that at a very young age, knowing I was affirming that I was going to become a nurse, not realizing how can I do this with no finance. So by the time I finished high school, an uncle had promised to educate me at Dillard University, had gotten my acceptance letter, everything. He died in 2 months, 2 months prior to my graduation. I came on into Houston to see how I could continue the quest to become a nurse. And everything happened, this and that. I did become the mortician, like I say, work my way through the University of Texas. Unfortunately, prior to finishing my nursing, I don't know when it was, or it might not have been, I was diagnosed at 25 with systemic lupus erythematosus, and that was a slam in the face because I was given only 5 years to live with that diagnosis. Being an Orthodox person, I did all the steroids and the whole 9 yards, and they continued to tell me I'd be dead in 5 years. About 5 years later, I went to get my driver's license and realized I couldn't pass the vision test. So the doctor said to me, well, you're a nurse, you know that steroids have all kinds of side effects, and one of them could be retinal blindness. And there's a good chance if you do live 5 more years, you may already be totally blind, not legally blind. And that was when I was 25. So I went on with all the Orthodox training and treatment from 65 in and out of the hospital every year, in and out, in and out. In 1977, I spent 7 months in 12 Oaks Hospital with the lupus. 1978, I was right back in the hospital with kidney failure. So sitting in the hospital, imagining my family leaving me at the cemetery on Saturday, I got up and fired all my doctors. I'm still inpatient. And that day, I've never been back to the hospital with the lupus since 1978. I never took any of those drugs that I had. I mean, the heart drugs. One drug caused another side effect. Whatever they were, I never took any more. I never went back to see the doctor as a patient. But this is what made a crucial change in my life, because I'm thinking when I get from the hospital, I'm very weak. I can't do a lot. But I'm thinking, I don't have a doctor. I don't have any medication. Where do I go from here? I have to start studying and researching to see what can I do to save my life. And I started it then. And some of the first research that I had done was with uh, Dr. Parcells, Hazel Parcells, Dr. Hannah Kroger, and I did wheatgrass therapy. I did that very consistently. I bought whatever equipment I needed and I set it up for myself in my home. When I found out the equipment was a little pricey, I then went around to chiropractors because they practice more natural health than actual medical doctors. And I got clients referred to me, and I ended up with the business that I was not even trying to get. That was in 1979. So from that day to now, I have been doing colonics, and I studied so far around the world and learned all kind of modalities and means. I started a bed and breakfast where other people who had similar problems came and stayed in my home for months to years while we worked trying to rectify their health. And I also continued to do the colonics. I started in 1981 to teach other folk to become certified colon therapists as well as me. And I have been doing that, but that's how I really got started. And Wigmore was the lady who was very instrumental in me doing the wheatgrass program. I did it for myself. I grew wheatgrass. I taught other people. I had lectures. Since the 80s, I have been lecturing to people. And now I still do consults for people at my place here, along with the colonics. And pretty soon, hopefully this year, I will teach my last class.
What are your plans for the future, Miss Ellis?
My plans for the future, I don't have any dreams of retiring. I'm going to go out and do colonics as long as I can physically do that. Now, that may be the next 6 weeks, the next 6 months, the next 6 years, but I'm planning on a low-scale basis to continue doing colonics. However, this year, this is 2018, I propose to teach one more class for colonic therapists. And I'm hoping that from that class, I can find at least 1 or 2 students that may be interested in working here at the clinic to continue the colonics on. And I will continue my consultations with anyone who needs some help in their quest for good health. And I guess that must be all I plan to do the next decade.
Thank you, Miss Ellis.
Okay.